The plays we chose for next season represent really what is the heart of the Shakespeare Theatre Company's mission, which is to do, of course, some of the great plays of Shakespeare with the best actors and directors around, to do the less well-known plays of Shakespeare and find a really innovative and interesting way to do them, and to look at modern adaptations of great classical work, and to take a look at some plays of the 20th and 21st century that we actually believe will be the classics of tomorrow, and so therefore are classics now. So we're going to begin with All's Well That Ends Well, which I'm going to direct, which is a play that I think is very often misunderstood. I actually love this play. It's one of my totally favorite Shakespeare plays. I did it, I think, the last time in the first season I was here, and I'm very anxious to do it again, partly because I think it's 20 some odd years later, and I think maybe I've changed or I've grown up in a way or understand certain things about people differently. But I love the play, and I keep wanting to reclaim this play, which some people don't get, for an audience. There's a very complicated relationship at the heart of the play between a young, very smart, very intelligent, very independent young woman and a young man who spurns her. And why that happens, I think, is often misplayed. I think it's a love story that goes wrong because a young boy from the country goes to Paris for the first time and forgets who he really is. And hopefully, I don't want to give away the ending, but maybe he finds out. It's full of wonderful characters, and it's very funny, and it's got a terrific part for an older actress, and I think we'll have a terrific person playing it. The second play is a great adaptation of a great classical French novel, and that is Leonard Bernstein's Candide. It's one of the total classical musical theater pieces of the 20th century. It will be always revived in the 21st and 22nd century because it is both an opera and a musical theater piece, and it has an extraordinary score by Leonard Bernstein. And we're doing it, one, because it's based on Voltaire and it's Bernstein, but also because it brings Mary Zimmerman, one of the most innovative directors, back to our stage. Her Pericles here was perhaps the best Pericles I've ever seen. She spent the last 3 years doing opera at the Metropolitan Opera. She's actually done 3 in a row. And so she'll be returning to our stage with Candide, which will be a co-production with the Goodman Theatre, and we had such a good experience with last season's King Lear. Anybody who's ever seen Mary Zimmerman's production knows that Mary's use of theatrical devices is unparalleled, that Mary can tell a story with all of the theatrical tricks and devices that are known, and yet in a simple way. And she does journeys better than anyone I know, and Candide is, of course, a great journey through life. If you've ever seen any of Mary's work, you'll know that this is the perfect project for her. The next play is the perfect project for another wonderful young director, and that's Rebecca Teichman, who has simply astounded us here for the last 2 seasons with a completely rethought through Taming of the Shrew that Peter Marks called one of the best productions of the decade, and probably production that was loved by our audience more than almost any, which was the Twelfth Night she did at the Harman a couple of years ago. So who better, with this sense of romance she has, and this sense of music, and this sense of movement, and this sense of storytelling that she has, who better to take on one of Shakespeare's most difficult plays, and that's Cymbeline. And I talked to Rebecca about doing Cymbeline all through the production of Twelfth Night because I thought she'd be the perfect person for it. And I'm thrilled to have both of these women here because they are among the best directors we have in the country. That's going to be followed by Oscar Wilde's Ideal Husband. And this will be our third Wilde play. We've actually done A Woman of No Importance, Lady Windermere's Fan, and now we're doing An Ideal Husband. And those are the 3 plays, except for Importance of Being Earnest, that make up the 4 great plays of Oscar Wilde. And I've waited to do Ideal Husband for a couple of years so that there would be a little time between Keith Baxter's production of Lady Windermere's Fan and Keith Baxter's new production of An Ideal Husband. It's a tremendously wonderful play about a political scandal where a man who is an important politician has made money off a pretty dicey stock deal. And this woman of the world who comes to blackmail him into supporting a bill that she and friends of hers want because they can make some money. And what will he decide? Will he allow his own shadowy past to be revealed? Or will he, in order to preserve his political career, will he agree to a bill that he knows is crooked and wrong? And that's An Ideal Husband. And it's a wonderful play. And Keith Baxter, who has done most wonderful productions of that period for us and also of restoration, is coming back to direct it with his incredible design team, Simon Higlet and Robert Perziola, who have won loads of awards here. And just to round off the season, we're doing The Merchant of Venice. We haven't done The Merchant of Venice in a few years. It's one of Shakespeare's greatest plays. It's often one of his most controversial plays. I think it's a play about anti-Semitism, exploring anti-Semitism, not an anti-Semitic play. As a matter of fact, the last time we did it, the Supreme Court had a mock trial. Is The Merchant of Venice an anti-Semitic play? And the panel was headed by Justice Ginsburg, and the verdict was no. It explores anti-Semitism. It shows it for what it is. It's also, to me, a play much more than that, rooted in money, and when people are concerned with money and people turn people into merchandise. I think Shakespeare writing very specifically about the growing capitalism of his period and commercialism, really. I think this is his response to it. It's got extraordinary characters and it's got extraordinary language, and I'm looking forward to it.